Good evening for another edition of Blacklight on Sports. I'm Dr. Mitchell Palmer McDonald,
And I'm Charles Hallman.
and our guest today is an entrepreneur, a former outstanding basketball player from Minneapolis, Roosevelt, who also went on to play collegiately and professionally, and is now giving back to his community. We want to welcome Sam Willis. Sam, it's real good of you to come and spend some time with us.
Man, thanks for inviting me.
Um, want to start out by just talking about your basketball journey. In reading your biography, you've had quite, you've had quite the career, quite the journey, stemming from high school and even probably even before that. Just tell us about your journey and how you got to where you are right now.
Oh, okay. I came from Chicago, Illinois in 1992.
Okay.
My dad brought me up here. My biological mom passed away
Okay.
in 1992, earlier that year in February. And so my dad had just got released from prison in '91.
Mm-hmm.
And so, he came to Chicago a couple times to visit me when he came home and things of that nature. And then after my mom passed, he assumed the responsibility and having me come up to Minnesota. First, I had come up here and visit in April
Mm-hmm.
in '92 to see what I like it and things like that. So I came up here. I had a really good time. I had chaperones and just seeing the different atmosphere and things like that. So then I really liked it, and I thought it would be a great opportunity for me to move out of Cabrini Green housing projects into something different.
Okay, so you came up here your senior year,
Yes.
and where did you end up spending your senior year?
I spent my senior year at Roosevelt High School,
Okay.
South Minneapolis. We used to have a rival team called South. Something I didn't know about, I wasn't aware of until I got here, but it was a fun rival.
I know as a little shout out to Charles over there because he was
Yeah.
his assistant a long time as assistant
Yes,
coach.
he was.
Okay, all right. Um, how was it when you came up here? How was the adjustment?
Oh, it was a culture shock.
Mm-hmm.
The Chicago environment is, everybody's outside, hanging around and running around, playing around. When I came to Minnesota, um, there wasn't nobody outside. So it was a hard adjustment for me at first. Some days it was hard for me, and the other days it was cool. But the basketball was totally different as well.
Mm-hmm.
Chicago more fast paced,
Okay.
hard defense. We used to hack.
Mm-hmm.
But then it was the fast pace and things like that. And so when I came here, it was a hard adjustment. Because in Chicago, we averaged like 100 points a game.
Mm-hmm.
And so we used to press, full court press every play, things like that. So I had to, harness my game, when I came to Minneapolis.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was good. It was for the good. It was really for the good.
It was good. Now I know you guys were ranked number one for most of your senior year,
Yes.
your entire senior year going into the
Hmm.
to the tournament. How did that feel? You kind of being the new kid on the block, and you've got to fit into a group of guys that have played together
Hmm.
for a while, and you come in. You're not just coming in. You're not just like coming off the bench. I mean, no, you came in and started,
Right.
and you were balling.
Yeah.
You know, how was that? Did your teammates accept you at first? Was it
It
was it
was
a little bit
tough.
different because you were
Yeah.
because Minnesota is cliquish.
Yeah, for sure. It was very cliquish. And so it was tough. But coming from Chicago, I was new picked preseason player of the year that year in my conference. And I was a top player in Chicago.
Okay.
And so I picked Roosevelt over De La Salle because I saw John Thomas was getting ranked, he was ranked top 50 in the class that year. And, number four best power forward during that time.
Okay.
And so I saw that and I thought it would be, opportunity for me to, gel with them and, try to match. And also I had scouts looking at me as well, but I had the grades. And so coming from Chicago, I had shout out to Dr. Hideaway and Jenny, Ray, rest in peace.
Mhm.
He brought me in his office. He's an assistant principal at the time. He brought me into his office and we talked and he said, "Man, I believe in you. Just don't let me down." And so that was really really good to hear.
Mhm.
some positivity, and then coming from Chicago is different. I was talking about this the other day, to where in Chicago our parents didn't really come support us.
Okay.
Our games are like at 3:15 in the morning, afternoon or whatever. Right after school, we get out of school at 2:30. Game at 3:15.
Yo, yeah. Charles knows that from being in Detroit.
Yeah, we had to play early. A fight gonna pop off.
Oh man.
Yeah, so and then it was adjustment playing at 7 o'clock at night. For those that don't know, I was adopted to a family by living in Cabrini Green. It was a community, and so my bigger brother is William Gates from the movie Hoop Dreams.
Oh yeah.
And so I was adopted to their family. So after my games are over, they'll wait for me to come home, and then we'll go see William play at night.
Okay. Oh yes.
Yeah, so he plays St. Joseph, Catholic school. So they'll wait for me to get off the bus, and then we'll shoot out there. It was like an hour drive or whatever, and we'll go watch William play. Yeah, so it was playing at nighttime here. It was a very big thing for me. So now I'm feeling like I'm William now at this time.
Oh yeah. So you went from playing in the afternoon games, which are middle school games.
Yeah, exactly.
That's when the middle school plays.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, I know you were like, "We're playing at night."
Yeah, I know, right?
We got a night game.
Man, it's night. It's Friday Night Lights, baby. It's on. Yeah. So it was a great opportunity for that. Then make an adjustment with the players. Everybody. Because Minnesota, papers, they do their research, and so they did their research and they publicized it and things like that. I was coming to Minnesota, so they put how many points I averaged and things like that. And so maybe rest in peace, our coach Frank Henches. He said, man, you're not finna come to Chicago bring that street ball stuff here.
Rest in peace. That sound
You're not gonna bring that street ball stuff here. So I give Frank a big ups because he really gave me the opportunity to play. Not alone that, he taught me fundamentals. The game of fundamental basketball, put with my street game, made me a force to be reckoned with.
Okay.
No, after Roosevelt, where'd you go?
I ended up going to North Dakota School of Science. Played 2 years there, from 93 to 95. We were a good team. My freshman year and sophomore year, actually. We lost to Bobby Jackson to go to Hutchinson, Kansas 2 years in a row. And so, junior college is different. And so, I'm 18. I'm a freshman. I'm going in there cocky. You know what I mean? We the number one team in the state. I come from Roosevelt. You know what I mean? And so, get to college, these guys are 21 and 22. I got the JUCO. These guys are 21 and 22.
Oh yeah.
So it was a total adjustment. And it was right after Prentice Perkins left. So Prentice Perkins was there. And so I got a chance to watch all his film and see how he played against these teams and things like that. And also I studied his game a lot and see what things that he were doing. So this is a funny story about Prentice. So we was playing in the Pro-Am one year, and so I'm like, I got him. All right, so I'm locking Prentice up. Nobody never saw this before. So I told Prentice after the game, man, I said, I studied your game. I watched all your film.
Man. I can imagine how you reacted to
that. He's like, you got me, man. You got me, man. I said, yeah, I watched all your film, Prentice, so don't feel bad.
Man. Where'd you go from there?
From there, I graduated from North Dakota School of Science, and I went to Texas Pan-Am. I went there for all the wrong reasons. Back then I was trying to get an NIL.
Oh God.
So I went there over Memphis. I had Memphis, New Orleans, Iowa State, Alabama. Georgetown even came to watch me play. They wanted me to play with Allen Iverson during that time. But Pan Am was giving out an NIL. Yeah. So I went there for the wrong reason. I ended up playing only 16 games there before getting suspended. And so then I had to figure things out after that.
So what What convinced you or what influenced you to become a businessman?
It was something that I always wanted to do. Me and Khalid, we was in Israel, and so during that time it was a tough year for me. My girlfriend had just got murdered, and so I had got an opportunity to go to Israel with Khalid, and so we was over in Israel, and so I had wrote down my goals and stuff like that, like what I'm gonna do with my life after basketball.
Mm-hmm.
So then we wrote, I wrote down my goals. I had Khalid do the same. Write down your goals. What we're gonna do after basketball. And so, we talked about a few things, and me and Khalid always said, we'll never let money, get into our friendship. We're gonna focus on things that we need to do, and so that was one of my things that I wanted to do. I've always been an entrepreneur. So back in Chicago, when I was, fifth and sixth grade, I used to sell newspapers.
Okay.
That's a rare. I was probably the last of the newspaper sellers out there. Get your Tribune, Sun-Times.
Oh, wow.
So during that time, so I always been an entrepreneur. It's always, I wanted to work for myself and figure out something, because it was tough for me to work for somebody. And during this time, I was at WCCO interning with Don Shelby. Actually, your dad helped me get that internship. Him and Jim Nelson.
Jim Nelson, yeah.
Yeah. So I used to meet with Kwame and Jim every Tuesday for about like 4 or 5 months. We'd meet at the burger spot right off the highway in St. Paul.
Oh, the mall shop.
The mall shop, yeah. Oh,
It's gone now.
Man, it's gone, yeah. So we'd meet there, man. I used to go there just to get a free burger. I know they'll pay for it. No, I'm just kidding. But it was, they gave me a lot of knowledge. And so, about me going to internship with Don Shelby, he was something different. He was a white man, and he gave me some words of encouragement. He told me this. He said, "Man, you can do whatever you want to do in this world." So I was like, "Oh man, hearing it from a white man, you know what I mean? It was something different. Not alone, hearing it from other people, but hearing it from him, such influence." And I was like, "Okay, I don't want to do the journalism anymore. So let me, because I want to work for nobody. It was hard for somebody to tell me what to do. It's hard for me to take orders. Coming from being a basketball athlete, everybody, you publicize, you herald it, and it was tough for me to take orders from people. And so I said, okay, let me find out something that I want to do. And so I tried a few different things. Actually, your dad gave me an opportunity to do journalism. What was Sports Network in St. Paul.
Yep.
So my first interviewee was Khalid, somebody I knew. So when they asked him all type of questions, he get mad like, "Man, let's go. We gotta go." I'm like, "Man, I'm doing my job." And so it was a good fit. I thought, I really wanted to do it, but I had to start off at a small market, doing sports broadcasting. And so it's something that I didn't want to do. I have tapes, and Don Shelby have a few of my tapes as well. Well, I've been doing like before Stuart Scott, I used to emphasize putting hip hop into sports, and so and Don thought it would be a go, like it something different, and so I'd be like coming straight from the sewer, you did a nice move, you did the running back came straight out of no, what I mean, just emphasizing doing the sports and stuff like that, and so Don told me I had to move to a small market to start off my career, making, kibbles and bits or whatever. So I was like, no, I don't want to do that. You know what I mean? So I had Gerard Hughes with me one day. Gerard Hughes was a good friend of mine at the time. And so I asked Gerard, playing overseas, I had a couple dollars or whatever. I asked Gerard, I was like, man, what's your degree in? He said, restaurant management. I said, okay. That's good. So I said, come with me to Chicago. We can pick out a restaurant and see. So we went to a soul food place called McArthur's, a popular soul food spot in Chicago, on the west side of Chicago. So I went to see my auntie. This is like in 2008. So I went to see my auntie or whatever. She said, like, what you doing here, boy? I said, TT, I'm coming down here to look for, something to do, a restaurant or whatever. So she handed me a flyer. She like, this new restaurant just opened up. My auntie like 70 years old at the time. I'm like, how you get this flyer? Where you been going? You know what I mean? And there's a flyer that said just turkey.
Okay.
And so I was like, okay, it looked different. You know, something different. We was trying to do something different here in Minnesota to bring, you know, some flavor to Minnesota. And so she gave me the flyer. I went to check it out. I tasted the food. I didn't really like it at first. But Gerard tasted it. And he's like, man, this is a hit. So we stayed down for like 3 days or whatever. We went and looked at other different restaurants. So we went back again. We tasted it again. Gerard like, man, this is it. So I'm like, okay, we waited to come back the third day. Gerard like, man, if we don't do this. So I was like, okay, I got to talking to the owners. Like, man, y'all want to, you know, franchise in Minnesota or whatever? They like, no, we just been open only 2 years. We never thought about it. You know, come back and check out, you know, come back and check with me. So I came back like a month later or whatever. And so me and the guys, we gelling, you know, getting to know each other and things like that. So then they gave me an opportunity in 2010 to bring Just Turkey here to Minnesota. Yeah.
Now, I remember it wasn't easy to get that up and running because I don't know if you want to talk about that as much, but just trying to get that going, you know, trying to get the leases and everything like that. It was just not it. Everything didn't just fall into
it
place.
didn't fall out. So I had a spot on 30th and Nicollet. What's a football player? He had that spot before. Man, he had the fish.
David Howard.
David Howard. Yeah, David Howard had it. Some other guys, Nardi them had some chicken there. They had the Nardi's chicken, and so they had eventually moved out, and so I tried to get that place, and so I ended up getting it, and so I had to do all this work. You know, doing it by yourself is hard.
Mm-hmm.
Doing any business by yourself is like the toughest thing in the world to do. And so I try to do everything by myself, and then I end up falling on financial hardship. Boom. So this is in 2011, 2012 or whatever. So I wasn't able to do it. And so I was like, let me regather myself, you know, because I couldn't do it. Don't mean I'm not going to stop doing it. So I started doing concerts, promoting things like that, trying to generate more income. And so then I found a partner that asked like, man, I'm trying to do the same thing. So I found somebody that's, you know, like-minded. And so we came together. We jammed for about a year before we decided. And I was like, okay, this is a good fit for me. And then we actually came on South Minneapolis in the George Floyd Square. We got there in like 2019. So we fixing it up. We think we're about to open and make millions. Like, yeah, this is the right place.
Mm-hmm.
We're about to make millions of dollars.
Mm-hmm.
And then here go COVID.
Mm.
Boom. We're like, what this is? So we like, do we still gotta pay rent? At least we had to pay that thing for about a year and a half, man, before we was able to open it. But with God, grace, and mercy, we were able to do it.
Being a restaurateur, especially doing something that's unique, is not always known. What challenges that you had to overcome, or was there challenges, obvious challenges that you just other than just starting the business and getting it going?
Yeah. The challenges were, we were different. No chicken and fish, or pork, and things like that. That nature. So it was very, very different. And so people really didn't know how to digest it. Like, oh, turkey restaurant? Yeah, what you just serving Thanksgiving food? Ain't nobody gonna come to your restaurant. You just serving Thanksgiving food. I'm like, no, we're a totally different type of food. We're more barbecue based.
Mm-hmm.
Only thing we fry is French fries. So it kind of, pretty much healthy. And I thought, about bringing it over to South Minneapolis would be a good idea. Our goal is to prevent obesity in the urban community and give affordable prices for the urban community. Mm. And so I thought, being over north or over south, but I went to Roosevelt High School. I thought this would be an ideal place for me to start in the neighborhood that I went to high school at.
That's good. And it has been a success?
Yes. It's been really good to us. It's been 5 years since we've been open, coming up. I don't think I had to pay rent no more out of my pocket. So that's been a good thing. And we had to pay our employees. And so that's been a really good thing.
And you was able to, it's been about almost 5 years since COVID, so you was been able to weather that storm and on a solid footing,
Yeah.
in your opinion.
Yes, yes. Overcoming COVID was very, very difficult. But it was tough for us to even get the restaurant open during the time with COVID. This is a funny story. So, we paying rent for about a year and a half.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like 20 something grand between my partner and I. And so we finished, and so people out there looting and things like that. And so I called down to the city. I'm like, man, we need to send an inspector over here. They're like, we can't come over there. It's a war area. I'm like, man, I'm paying too much money in my pocket. We need to generate some income here. You know what I mean? And so I called back the next day or whatever. I came up with a story. I said, y'all need to get somebody over here right now. I'm gonna call Jesse Jackson. I don't know Jesse Jackson to save my life, right? So I said, I'm gonna call Jesse Jackson. I swear to God. The next day, a white man came knocking on the door. Something. I'm like, we're not open. You know what I mean? We're not open at all, He said, are you Sam? I'm like, yeah. He said, I'm the inspector from downtown. He literally came in, walked around for 5 minutes. He said, you approve. So that's what I told him. I said, man, thank you a lot. It's a big, it was an emotional time for me.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, oh man, thanks a lot. I said, when we open, come back to get some food. He said, no, I don't think so. He said, I don't think so. I was like, oh man.
You are also in a location, it is unfortunately it's the area where George Floyd lost his life. Has that area, I know they're still debating on making the George Floyd Square and trying to do those things. Has it recovered enough where people feel comfortable coming over in that area?
It hasn't recovered but one thing they did was clean the streets up.
Mm-hmm.
So during that time, as we know, the streets were blocked off. Mm-hmm. So it put an economic strain on our business to where the elderly people couldn't come. I had, Miss Elamine used to park down the street just to walk and patronize the business. My great aunties and uncles, they used to walk just to patronize the business. Because they had it barricaded. Mm-hmm. So people couldn't come in on four sides of the street. Mm-hmm. They couldn't come up 37th Street. They couldn't come across 38th Street, or they couldn't come down 39th Street. And so it was tough. It was really tough. And then you got the guys, walking around with guns, And so I was doing we would do a Zoom meeting, once a week with the mayor, Chief Arredondo, all the political people that's in the area, whatever. Andrea Jenkins, and a few other people. And so during that time, during the Zoom meetings, I was like, y'all need to open these streets up, because it's hindering our business. This is not, what we signed up for, and they're not doing this anywhere in any city or state in the world. So you got guys out here carrying guns. Chief Arredondo, you the chief of this town. Mm-hmm. These people are. So I told him, I said, if one of these tourists get hurt, he's gonna put a black eye on our city, let alone our state. I said, so we need to open these streets up. They let about 3 weeks of month go past, brought it back to their attention. We need to open these streets up. We need to let the buses flow through. Because we was just talking today that, number 5 bus go from Brooklyn Park to the Mall of America. Mm-hmm. So we missing that. So people can ride by, they like, oh, there's a business over there. Let me get out and get something to eat. Or, different people couldn't even commute through the area. People still today don't know that area is open.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
They think it's still blocked off. And it's the city's fault. Because they not mentioning that we're open. I don't know what they're trying to gentrify the area and things like that. So it's unfortunate. But, we came with a plan, my partner and I. And so we sticking to our plan. And hopefully we're here for our kids to we'll be able to provide for our kids to go to college. And so that's the whole main goal for it. You know, I know I won't get wealthy doing it, but I just want to be able to provide my children to go to college.
Now, speaking of your children, they've helped you stay involved, right?
Yes.
With the sport of basketball.
Yes.
How's that been going? What have you been doing to stay involved?
Just supporting them, just being a parent. You know, doing the things that I didn't really have for me. You know, like being a parent. You know, you want to do things. Oh, my dad didn't do this. My mom didn't do this. And so, you know, I'm just trying to be there, supporting them, giving them keys. You know, different keys to help them be successful in the sport of basketball. And so far it's working. They listen a little bit.
Listen. What grades?
My daughter is in 8th grade at Vanille St. Margaret. She'll be graduating June 5th, and she will be enrolled to go to high school there as well.
Okay.
She's the number 1 8th grader in the state right now. Big ups to Kira Sky. She works hard on the game. She's really athletic, long. She's playing for Fury right now, 2028. And so she's playing up, and she's getting a lot of recognition. My son is 16 years old. His name is Kobe Willis. He's growing. He's getting a lot of attention as well this summer. He's working hard, and I told him, whatever you put in the game, you're gonna get out. So if you put in the hard work, you're gonna receive the accomplishment and accolades. And so it's really showing up and showing out. He was just picked this weekend at this, the Hughes tournament, prep sports hoop this weekend. He was player of the game and things like that, and so he's really excelling. My oldest son is his name is Samuel Willis III. He's a coach of Sizzle over in St. Paul. He also coached over Irondale High School, freshmen. Yeah, so he had a good stint playing basketball overseas. I actually sent him to college with Donald Tech Phillips over in Canada. And so Texas over there advocating for people, for kids that don't get the opportunity to play here in America. And so you can do 5 years of playing basketball in Canada. And, you graduate in 4, you still can play 5. And so my son graduated from Normandale High School, junior college. Then he went out to Hibbing. And then I sent him out to Canada with Tex. And so he ended up playing with Calgary College out there in Canada. He graduated from there, and he went overseas to Germany. He had a few different stints at different places. And so he's really doing well. And I have an 11-year-old named is Dion. Dion more of a soccer player / basketball player. So he asked me this weekend, he said, Dad, is there anybody ever played soccer, professional soccer, and played in the NBA at the same time?
You say he's 11?
He's 11. I said, you're going to be the first.
Now, which one of your children you feel best emulate who you are as a player?
Oh man, I think my oldest son, he's more of a scorer and he played a little bit of defense. My 16-year-old, he's really coming to himself. He's a shooter. He can shoot like me. He's more of a shooter. His defense we need to work on, but we block shots like I did. In North Dakota, I led the team in block shots as a freshman. And so we had 7-footers, and I was still at the team in block shots. But and my daughter gets a lot of block shots too. She's a double-double. She's a walking statistician. She's gonna fill the stats up. She reminds me of Jason Kidd.
Okay.
I tell her that all the time, and she don't really know who he is. So I try to get her to watch the film, but she don't want to watch it yet.
Now, do your kids know what you've done, or if you tell them, how do they react?
I'm old.
Mm-hmm.
So I got a few accolades hanging on the wall and things like that. We'll be Cretan-Durham Hall and in the Twin Cities game.
Yeah,
a few things like
it.
that. Yeah. So they're like, Dad, you old. I'm like, man, I hit 4 threes this game.
They don't see
that. They don't see none of that, right?
They see Dad.
Right.
That's all they That's interesting. That's all they
Yeah.
see, man.
And then they like, why how you know all these people? I said, because I played basketball.
Right.
They're like, oh, okay. But they say you're a businessman now. They don't know you for basketball. They know you as just turkey.
No, that's
Yeah.
that's interesting. Do you find yourself sometimes as you're watching them playing, do you find yourself kind of biting your tongue? And we all yell, for our kids and all that kind of stuff. But do you find yourself like wanting to say something, but then say, well, man, I just need to hold back a little bit.
Yeah. I did that at first. The first couple of years I did it, but now I'm an assistant coach on the sideline.
Oh man, so there you are. Right.
I couldn't hold it in.
So now all of a sudden, I know now all of a sudden, Dad got a lot to say.
Right. So I told my daughter, my daughter used to get upset at 1st.
Mm-hmm.
I said, just tune me out.
Mm-hmm.
Just tune me out, but the other players listen.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? They like they be looking for me. Where your dad at? Where your dad? Is your dad here?
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm the assistant coach on the sideline. So I'm the one yelling and screaming. Coach on that end, I'm on the other end.
I get that. There was a time when I was in 9th grade, and we were still in junior high in 9th grade back in my day.
Okay.
In St. Paul, and our coach didn't show up for our championship game. We were Martin Luther King Center. We were playing out there.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, I looked up and I'm like, "What are you doing?" They went and got Dad out the stands. he volunteered and said, "I'll do it." And
right.
And it was the first time he coached me, and we won the game and all that. But it was an eye-opening experience because I got to see him in a different, he's always telling me all this stuff and I wasn't listening.
Yeah.
But all my teammates were glued because he was Kwame, and they were just all looking up, sitting here like, this is Dad.
Yeah.
But it was, but we won the game, and it was a real good experience. And I was glad that I got to experience that with him. That was the one time he just kind of pitched in, and coached. And then the guy that we beat, Steve Scroggins, he was the coach at Oxford. I later coached at middle school and beat him, and then he said, man, I can't beat the McDonald. He said that all the time. He said, I can't even beat the McDonald.
That's good. That's
nice. Said, Dad only coached against you one time. He said, but he beat me.
Right.
But I say that to know that I get what it was probably how your kids felt.
Yeah, for sure.
And they look at you a little bit. But I did learn something. I was like, okay, this dude knows a little bit something.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I'll be out there, see man, see ball.
Yeah.
See man, see ball. But the fundamental of basketball is like gone. That's the only thing I hate about it. And so it's like they don't roll the ball out there and dive on the floor no more. I think they can't do that no more. But Kevin Sampson do it at Houston. That's why his teams are played with tough and grit. And so we're missing a lot of toughness. And I'm glad the NBA is also letting them play more physical. Because you've been watching all the games.
Oh yeah.
They play like they back
lately is
in the late '80s and early '90s.
Trying to it looks like they're trying to get that back.
Yeah, for sure.
For a long, for a while, Charles covers the NBA and I'm with him sometimes.
Yeah.
And Charles will be complaining about the lack of the lack of physicalness.
Right.
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 And then I look back. At first, I was just like, I'm just glad to be here covering the game.
Yeah.
But Charles is the beat writer.
Yeah.
I think it's But then as I looked at it more, and then as I look at old tapes, I'm like, oh yeah, it was very, very, very physical.
Yeah, back then, yeah.
Yeah, and even in the 80s and 90s at the high school level.
Yeah,
it was very,
exactly.
very, very physical.
Yes, it was.
It was very, very physical.
Yes, it was.
And I think it is getting back to that.
Yeah, it's good to see it in the NBA because now we got people. Because a lot of people, I wasn't watching it really. I watched a few games, but I couldn't watch it fully all the way through. I watched the fourth quarter when it counted the most. But I'm glad everybody watching it now.
Have you ever looked back on your brief time as a broadcaster and journalism? Do you ever look back and say maybe when things are today where pretty much if you got a phone, you a broadcaster because they use that. You ever look back and say maybe I should have stuck with this a little bit longer?
Yeah, I think so. I did a few times. it was always good, being around sports and stuff like that. Something that we love. You doing something that you love is like it's easy. And so I did think about that a lot. And so hopefully I give me a podcast one day.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
So-
Did you let me say this is something I noticed after you guys graduated. I went to cover a Roosevelt North game when Khalid was a senior and it was at North. And I looked down and I saw all of you guys from Roosevelt, and it kind of like just like you done took over this whole little part of the bleachers, and and you all were cheering on your team, but then going back and forth with the North players,
Yeah.
like as they were playing. So, and this is why I remember. This is why I'm gonna ask you this question. So, Khalid hit a shot at the buzzer at the end of the fourth quarter, and then ran down to y'all
Yeah.
before he went to the huddle. He ran down to y'all, and all y'all jumped up and was like, "Oh yeah," and doing this, and then he was down there yelling.
Yeah.
Went back, and what I gathered from that, because at first I was like, who are all these? I didn't recognize y'all at first. I was like, all these big old dudes standing there. And then I found out all you guys were from Roosevelt. You guys had played, and I said, wow, you guys must be, you must be close. Like you just mentioned, you just mentioned Tex Phillips, and you didn't play with Tex Phillips.
Not at all.
You didn't even know him when he played
Exactly.
at Roosevelt, but you played. Are you guys still that close?
Yeah, we are. Actually,
alumni?
we lost a friend named Dwayne Muggs.
Oh no!
Oh wow!
Yeah,
Really?
so we lost. Yeah, Muggs passed away in Brazil.
Oh,
He got date rape drug. It's called a Cinderella Goodnight drug.
Mm-hmm.
And so
Okay.
that really affected all of us because we
Yeah.
all had a different part of the relationship with Muggs. And
yeah. I hadn't seen him in quite a while.
yeah. He was doing really good in the business world. Actually, I talked to him about a month before that because I asked him about the laundromat business. He's like, man, that's a good one. I paid XYZ and I made XYZ. So I was like, oh man, I see one over here. We was looking at it. He's like, man, I think you should get it. If you see it and you see it's available, you should get it. And so we was picking his brain and stuff like that. But one thing about Muggs, he was always spontaneous. I'll say, Muggs, we over here, he'll show up. Or we over here, he'll pop up. And so the death of his funeral, me, Rob Mesters, Mike Walker, Dr. Walker now, Johnny Gilbert, Johnny, I don't know, Ariane Farrar. So it's about 10 of us. We all try to get together once a month.
Okay.
And sit around and just talk, just try to pick each other's brain and just support each other, what we got going on. Either our kids are playing or we just support it, just spend time with each other. And I told him, it's very important that we've been doing it. So we've been keeping it going. Actually, we've been keeping it going, so it's been really good.
That's good. No, I always wondered that. I always saw that togetherness, but that was a fun thing to see, though, man. Because y'all were on them every time they were taking the ball out of bounds on your side. Y'all were talking with them when he made that shot and ran down. I was like, what is? I said, what is going on? It was good though, but that's good that you and I think it's important for people to see that you still have that closeness, and then particularly you came in your senior year, you came out of nowhere, and and they eventually took you in,
for sure,
and then of course it's reciprocal, you took them in.
They hazed me too though. They hazed me.
They hazed you. They hazed you. Man. All right.
They hazed me too. So one thing about that shot that Khalid did was the reason why he really ran down there because he didn't beat me. He was only in 8th grade when I was a senior.
Okay.
And so I just
Oh yeah.
So I kind of, I scooped him. I was a big, even Ishmael. Ishmael was younger as well. So after the game we played at North, we had beat them at the buzzer. Bebop tipped it in. So people, I told my dad, you need to come to the game. It's my first game in the city. I don't know what's going on or whatever. And so for people that don't know, my dad is Sharif Willis or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And during this time in the 90s, he was like
Oh yeah.
a big person at this time and stuff. So he came in the gym. He had like about 20 guys with him. So people, he walking in and people forgot about the game.
Yes, they did. I took a glance myself. I was like, man. Then it was like that's like they were like that's my dad was with me as a matter of fact. He said, my dad said that's Sharif Willis, and I was like, okay, why is he here? And then he pointed to your name in the program.
Yeah.
He said that's why. He said that's why. Then then of course I'm saying like, oh, okay, then of course I'm ready to leave. My dad, hey, what's going on? He had to talk to everybody, every person that your dad was with and him. I was like, come on, man. This is before I got to know who you were.
Yeah. Back then the games were standing room only.
Yeah.
It was real basketball.
Yes.
So it was standing room only. And then we was number one team in state. And so Bebop had tipped it in at the buzzer. So people got to running everywhere. So I didn't know how to get the visiting locker room. So I'm standing here, people gone, people all on the floor. I told my dad, I might need protection or whatever if we beat him. So he came. I don't see him. I don't see none of my teammates. I don't know how to get to the locker room.
Mm-hmm.
And then Khalid and Ismail walked up to me. Like, what's up, brother? I was like, man, what's up? I don't know how to get to the locker room.
Oh, man. That's
So we end up exchanging numbers, and we've been friends ever since then. We've been more like brothers. So they adopted me to their family when I got here, and so I've been really glued to their family ever since I've been here.
And Bebop, what is he doing now?
Bebop working at the airport right now with Delta Airlines. He's the supervisor. They want your supervisor to be tall. So one day I was walking in the airport like 6 in the morning. I was like, excuse me, sir, can you tell me how to get to this terminal? He looked back, it was me. He said, boy, you silly.
I got a chance to get to know him. I coached him when they had the old prep high school league, summer high school league. So I had him and John Thomas on the same team. And John Thomas was already set to go to Minnesota.
Okay.
But Bebop hadn't decided where he was going. So, coaches was coming to look at it, talking to me, asking me about him. And I said, only I know Bebop is from this experience. I never coached him in high school. Right. So one coach came to me and said, man, he said, tell me something simple about Bebop. I said, I got two good players. I can win with John Thomas here. I can't win if Bebop's not here. I said, Bebop makes this team go.
Yeah.
I said, if he's not here, I can't win. I said, I can win with John, but I win more with Bebop. And the guy called me back the next day and said, man, I want to sign him. Can you connect me with him? I said, I don't have a number on him. I can just talk to his coach or whatever. He went on to sign. He didn't go there. I think he went there for a hot second. It was Drake.
Okay, yeah.
And then he left.
He went to Omaha.
Right.
And so back then, so my freshman year of junior college, I made a name for myself, and I was heralded. So I had all the scouts coming to so Bebop ended up going to play Division II at Nebraska, Omaha.
Mm-hmm.
But he had Drake, Southwest Missouri State. And I'm like, man, why you going there? So I ended up convincing Bebop to come play with me at North Dakota School of Science.
Mm-hmm.
And so people like, man, why you want Bebop to come now? I said, man, I need Bebop. Like you said, I can win with Bebop. You know what I mean? And so,
and I love John Thomas to death to this day,
Yeah.
man. But when that coach asked me, I said, look, I can win games with John, but if I don't win, if Bebop's not here, shoot, I was hoping, man. The one time he was almost late for the game. We played, in summertime. And I'm sitting up there looking around, game about to start. Bebop in here. I said, the Bebop got caught in traffic.
Yeah.
He got there, man. As soon as he walked in, man.
You like, so
get up. Bebop going there.
So,
Bebop, man, you know Bebop, man.
Yeah.
Bebop was a player.
Yeah.
And he, anytime I need a shot, he got me that shot.
Yeah, he did.
John was a muscle,
physical.
muscle,
John was physical.
But Bebop was very, athletic and
Yeah.
balls. I love Bebop. When you see him, tell him I said hello.
Will do.
That was
Yeah.
good. Now you also we know you're a big boxing guy.
Yeah.
You love
Yes,
boxing.
love boxing.
Last time I saw you was at the Armory. What got you into watching boxing?
Growing up I used to box, and so I think my record was like 4-8. I was like, well, it's not my sport. But a friend of mine was ended up being a big time at 178.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of people in my neighborhood, Cabrini Green, we had Terry McGroom. He was 178. He was the champion, #1 Golden Gloves. But the guy that I came up with was Nate Jones.
Okay.
So Nate Jones is really close to Floyd Mayweather. So if you see a person hitting him, when Floyd was, he hit Nate in the stomach.
Mm-hmm.
When Nate had a thing on his belly or whatever, that's Nate Jones, and Nate Jones is 178 as well. So they went to the Olympics. Nate went to the Olympics, and that's when they went to Korea.
Okay.
And that was the last time Floyd lost a fight.
Mm-hmm.
Because remember, everybody got robbed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And Nate was the only one. Nate was favored to win the gold. They gave Nate the bronze.
Mm-hmm.
He was the only one to win a medal that year.
Mm-hmm.
And so, we used to come up, so back when I was fighting or whatever, it was strategy. And so our coach would make us play chess. So we playing chess and things like that. And so Nate and I, we grew up together. And then watching Nate do his thing, and he ended up signing with Don King. And Don King robbed him at that time, took all his money. No, it's just but Nate was a good fighter. He's actually training Devin Haney right now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's training. He's working with Devin Haney. Then he's still with him and Floyd Mayweather, really good friends.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, as you look ahead, you have the restaurant going.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like it's going pretty good. And as you see your kids growing up pretty fast, it seems like they always grow up real fast.
For sure.
How do you see yourself maybe 4 or 5 years from now? What do you think?
I still want to be in the restaurant industry. The goal is to open up a few more spots. I want to go to North Minneapolis. I want to go to Brooklyn Park and go to a couple of these suburbs. And then also I want to, support the kids as they go to college. Mm-hmm. I want to be one of them parents where we ain't got to worry about it. I just want to be at the game. Right. And have my businesses work for me. That's the goal, the ultimate goal.
Right. Does going through what you went through in your childhood, I mean, having to relocate and all that, is that a motivation for you to make sure that not only your kids, but other youth that you come in contact with have a better experience than you did, or have more opportunities than you did?
Yes, and I would say it starts at home, right?
Mm-hmm.
Your dad was a big advocate of that. Even with you, it starts at home and how we treat our children. So it's like I have a big problem with all this violence. With these kids and violence, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, my daddy lead out the vice lords or whatever. And so I know what he was, right? Mm-hmm. So instead of following his direction, I went right. Mm-hmm. So basketball going to be my thing. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? I don't want to have to follow his steps. And he wouldn't want me to do that either. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So instead of going left, I went right. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So I want to do something different. And so, it starts at home with these parents just letting these kids go out here and shoot somebody and then come back in the house with a gun that they done shot a kid with. Mm-hmm. Is terrible to me. I couldn't fathom it. You know what I mean? Even with my mother growing up in Cabrini Green. If we would have done that back then, the parents would have locked the door on you. Mm-hmm. You ain't no way you coming in this house. Where is that? We know there's no more big moms. Mm-hmm. Our grandmas. Big mom. We don't have that anymore. Mm-hmm. But why are the parents condoning these children to come out here and shoot somebody and then come back into the home with a gun and you know that they done it? Mm-hmm. Back in the day, our parents would have called the police. Mm-hmm. You ain't coming in here and you going to jail. Mm-hmm. You're not finna do this. And so to say this, to say that, because a friend of mine named Tatiana, she just lost her daughter the other day. Mm. She got shot over in Robbinsdale.
Mm.
She was in the hospital for a few days, and then she just, passed away. 19 years old. So it's kids killing kids. They don't have any children. So we losing ourselves, right?
Mm.
Our kids don't have no children. They babies. They don't have no education, and they sitting here dying, and it's hard for me to see. And so, even in the area, I see the little gang banging dudes or whatever. 16 years old, got guns in the backpack.
Mm-hmm.
Asking y'all want a job. I said, one of the little guys, he was a good basketball player. I'm like, man, I heard you can hoop. Let me help you.
Mm-hmm.
But when he with them, he'll be kind of tough.
Mm-hmm.
But when he by himself, he want to come in and talk.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So I always try to give back and give people my experience and let a lot of people know who I am, and I try to relate that message.
Mm-hmm.
There's other things to do. You know what I mean? Instead of being out here, and then the police have to do better as well. And we grew up, we had things to do. Had Clyde Turner camp. Your dad had the Kwame McDonald. We played at Concordia. I won a championship. I beat Devin George.
Mm-hmm.
Championship.
Yeah.
Give and go. I come back from college one day and they won't let me play in the pro-am. They're like, you can't play. They put me in the give and go in Kwame League. I end up beating Devin George. The next year he gets drafted to the Lakers. What's going on here?
That's hilarious when I think about it.
But it's just sad that we don't have any activities for these kids to do. And so also, I've been talking to Mike Walker about this, Dr. Walker. He gives back to the community all as well, and he also gives back to the kids. Taking them to different colleges and things like that.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And we need to come up with some funds to bring back the park district. Kids don't go to the park district like we used to.
Mm-hmm.
If we had park districts in Chicago, it'd be packed with game bangers and all.
Mm-hmm.
The park used to be packed. You know what I mean? Everybody want to play basketball. Everybody want to do something. They always had different arts and crafts, karate. This, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Where is that at now? We don't have that now. We need computers in the park boards for kids to go in there and do computers. Everybody with their phone on the computer. You know what I mean? We need to bring back something like that for these kids to stop thinking about the wrong thing. And so, like I said before, I started at home. I preach to my kids. I've been blessed and fortunate. My oldest son is 31. He hasn't been in trouble. He went to college. He went away. It was something that, coming from the foundation that I had, I emphasized these are the things that we're going to do. And I've been blessed to send my kids to private school, high school, and just to do things that I wasn't able to do when I was younger.
Mm-hmm.
And just give them something different, and so they have a better outlook on life.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Well, Sam, we always appreciate. I always appreciated you over the years, the things you've done, as a player, and then as a man and a father and a businessman. You've done some. You could have went back to Chicago. You could have went elsewhere, but you decided to, build your roots here. And I think the community is better because of that. We always ask our guests when we wrap things up to share with our readers and our listeners and our viewers some pearls of wisdom. You've given a bunch of it, but now we're gonna give you the official time to share on your thoughts. What things you want somebody to learn from watching you today?
Man, I want to say thank you, Charles. Big time. We always had a relationship, even when we had our battles. But I want to say thank you, man. You've been a big time mentor to me. You always gave me advice. You always took time to talk to me. I really want to appreciate it. And also, Mitch, I want to appreciate you. You're a product of your dad. It's very good to see. I know he's happy. The legacy that he left. It's very important for us to do that for our children. I want to thank Ray Seville, who always been in my corner. Even though I was a kid coming up to my mom, he's like, "You with your mama?" I want to say thank Ray big time. He's really a family friend. What it is, just you can whatever you want to do, you put your mind to it, you can accomplish it. That's the goal that and that's the thing that we're leaving out for these kids. We need to promote these kids and believe in them. We should also be always be hard on them.
Mm-hmm.
We need to inspire in them. We need to give them time. You guys gave me time coming up. You know what I mean? I could have went left, but the time that your father poured in me, the time speaking with you, the elders we left the kids, and I'm a product of that too, right? So because I'm at that age, I didn't give back to the kids like I should have. Why didn't I come up with a basketball camp for the kids? You know, something. So I try to advocate for all the kids, all my friends that, you know, play professional basketball. It's something that we need to do. We got to give back to the community. And so we can uplift these kids because they're smarter than what they are being projected as. And we don't want to be stereotypical. We don't want to be a product of our environment. We want to be accessible. We want to be more educational than in our environment. Because these kids are smart. We got geniuses walking around here, but they don't get the opportunity. And I just say, you know, whatever you put your mind to, you can accomplish it.
Well, Sam, again, we appreciate you taking time out your busy schedule.
Yes.
Next time I see you, don't be walking up on me like you did the last time you walked up on me at night. But no, Sam, you're a good man.
Thanks a lot.
You being
We appreciate it. And also, if you get a chance, stop at Just Turkey, 3731 Chicago Avenue South, Minneapolis, located in the George Floyd Square. We're here to serve the community, and we're here for generations.
Good. We thank you again, Sam. We thank you for joining us. My name is Charles Hallman.
I'm Dr. MitchellPalmerMcDonald.
This is Blacklight on Sports, and we want you to continue to read us in the newspaper, continue to watch us, and join us again when we come back. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.